Hello, everybody, and welcome to Podcast Period, the internet's stupidest podcast. My name is Ben, and with me today, as always, is my co-host David.
What's up, guys?
Today, we've got a tiny bit different of an episode. We shortened down the news section of the show so we could talk about not only the ending of Obi-Wan Kenobi, which we skipped over, well, not really skipped over last time because it wasn't out when we were recording it, but we didn't get to it last time. And we also wanted to talk about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which is a ridiculous title that I hope never to say again, even though I probably will. At least one more time in this episode. But besides that, it's a fairly bog standard episode. Either way, we're going to have fun. Because the first article that we've got is, boy, this is a title. Florida once again has giant calamitous snails that spew parasitic brain worms. So apparently, I mean, if you couldn't grasp from the title, it happened more than once. Not just twice though. This is the third time that this has happened. Oh boy. The giant African land snail can grow up to 20 centimeters, which for us dumb Americans is 8 inches long.
Which is exactly why I started laughing.
And is considered one of the most invasive pests on the planet. It ravenously feasts on over 500 plant species, including many valuable fruits, vegetables, and ornaments, while prolifically spawning, pushing out several thousand eggs in its multi-year lifespan. In late June, Florida state officials confirmed the presence of GALs, which is the abbreviation that they've decided to use for this snail for whatever godforsaken reason, on a property in Pasco County on the west central coast of the state, just north of Tampa. They have since set up a quarantine zone around the property and began snail killing pesticide treatments last week. While the snails are a grave threat to agriculture and natural vegetation in the state, the invasive mollusks also pose a health risk. They're known to transmit rat lungworm parasites, which can invade the human central nervous system and cause a type of meningitis. For this reason, officials warn people not to handle the mammoth snail without gloves. That's disgusting.
Great. So, I guess no escargot for the French on this one?
I mean, would you really want to eat one that big?
I mean, I don't think I'd ever eat a snail, period, in the discussion, but this particular thing just looks like obnoxiously disgusting.
I've tried escargot a total of one time. It was a very long time ago. And the one thing that I remember was that it was slimy. And I'm never going to eat it again.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. So that would be a big no from me. I'm not going to eat the snail that not only is it invasive species and likes to eat all of our plants and fruits and vegetables, but also could give me meningitis. So yeah, I'm good on that.
Wonder where they're coming from. Are they coming over on like a ship, or did somebody
It would
import
have
something,
to be.
or?
It would have to. I would assume it would have to be some sort of like food shipment, you know, like maybe like bananas or fruits or something like that they somehow hitch a ride on.
Who knows?
I don't know.
Whatever.
They're nasty looking though.
Yeah, they really are. Get rid of it.
All right, what's next?
Speaking of ships and other forms of aquatic transportation, guess what you can now do on your yacht for a hefty premium of $5,000 a month, Ben? This non-existent yacht that you have.
This is going to be something to do with hookers and cocaine, is it not?
I'm sure Elon Musk would approve of that usage, sure. Starlink is unveiling a $5,000 a month internet service for oil rigs and premium yachts. And I thought $500 a month internet was awful. Now we're talking $5,000 a month? Why?
Plus a $10,000 upfront hardware purchase.
Yes, because that's all we needed. So SpaceX, as yesterday at the time of this article being written, was on the 8th of July, so around the 7th or so. SpaceX announced a Starlink maritime service that will bring satellite internet service to large boats for $5,000 a month, and as Ben has mentioned, the $10,000 initial upfront hardware purchase. I have no idea why this is why this is so important. It is going to supposedly advertise a download speed of up to 350 megabits a second. So I guess, yay, it's tied for you, Ben.
Sure,
You
yeah.
can take your internet mobile for a hefty price of $5,000 a month.
Woohoo! On my yacht.
Yeah, and you pay what? 50? What is that?
75.
100 times? Almost 100 times more. Good God.
Let's see.
Oh, have mercy. What are we going to do?
5,000 divided by 75.
Is it 78 times?
It's about 67
Oh,
times.
okay. Yeah, I guess that would make sense. My math isn't working today. Yeah.
Not to mention the router that I get is free. Or the cable modem, I should say, not the actual router.
Yeah, great. Okay. So that's it. There's a bunch of technical things that may or may not care to people, the antennas and all that stuff. I don't really care because it's never going to be a thing for me. It's just, it was worth mentioning. It's cool. It's really cool that we're being able to do this. And if they can do this for yachts and oil rigs, then I'm sure at some point this means that you could do this for everybody else. So I love where the potential is going. Just laugh at the price tag right now. But it is built for the right market, because if you can afford your premium yacht, or if you're on an oil rig, which theoretically should be making buku bucks these days, because thanks Russia, at least it makes sense for who they're targeting it for. But I like the implications of what could possibly be down the line, which is why I think it's the most interesting thing. But right now, it's just something to laugh at, because that's what we like to do. Elon is always the butt of our jokes. If it's not him, it's Apple.
Maybe one day we'll find somebody else to clown on, but for now, Elon is our boy.
He's our boy, and he deserves every bit of ragging that he gets.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's not the only thing that we're going to be ragging on today, because apparently some ad company from India thought that it would be a great idea to reinvent the lock screen, is what they're saying. Basically, what they're doing is shoving sponsored content onto your lock screen and hoping that you'll swipe on it so that they get paid. It's kind of like the ad-supported phones that you can buy from Amazon, or their ad-supported Kindle. It just has ads splattered all over the place. I will never understand that. Like, really. I hate ads as it is. Why would you buy a device just because it's like $20 cheaper if you're going to have to live with ads upon ads on your lock screen? Ads in your notifications, ads in every single app that you end up using, probably ads in your settings somewhere.
I imagine. I get so upset when somebody tries to, because it makes no sense how this is set up. If you have a Google account signed in to an Amazon stick for your YouTube, you would think if somebody wanted to screen share whatever video and cast it to whatever device, You would think that if the main YouTube account signed in to that stick is a YouTube Premium or other ad-free version of YouTube, you would think if somebody's screened to that, it would be ad-free, right? No. Because my sister will do it all the time. She'll want to show me something. She'll either cast it to the living room television or she'll cast it to mine. Both of which have my main YouTube account signed into them, which I have YouTube Premium. Why would I not? I hate the ads. It drives me nuts, and I get YouTube Music, and it's $10 a month. I'm more than happy to pay for that. No, because she cast it. It links her account, which it doesn't even do, because if you get out of the video that they shared and casted, it'll automatically it's the same account that was signed in before. But no, it'll show the ads. I'm like, no, I can't stand this. I want to throw a freaking brick at the TV when I see the ad. I've gotten so accustomed to not seeing them. So I would literally take this phone and snap it in half if that happened one day. This is ridiculous.
No.
This is so stupid. An ad on a lock screen.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about not owning your own device. It's bad enough you don't really own it.
This is even worse than an ad on a lock screen, though, because they own your lock screen. You can't do anything to it. I'm sure you could probably change it to and from military time if you wanted to.
Sure.
But besides that, you don't get jack on your lock screen.
That is so stupid. Not happening.
No. Nope.
I'd literally snap it in half. I would.
This is like the worst idea I've seen come to phones, like, ever. Like I said, I understand that there's people that are willing to do that for like a device that's $20 cheaper or whatever, but like, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it? No. The answer is no. Don't even think about it. It's no. And if you think the answer is yes, you're stupid.
My argument to that would be, there's a devil's advocate argument coming here, so don't get mad. My argument to that would be, if you're that hard up and desperate and every little bit counts, then maybe it is worth it to certain individuals.
No, it's not. You know why? Because used phones exist.
That was going to be my counterpoint to that. If you're that hard up,
no,
just get a used phone. I totally agree
with
that.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
Totally agree.
I don't even care. Go buy a used iPhone for all I care. Okay? Anything is better than having your lock screen controlled by a company and then them selling your data. I mean, listen, I know I'm like full into that market, okay? I'm sure my data is out there and everything.
Yep.
All right?
And there's not much I can do
if I can actively make a choice to help alleviate that in some way, my choice would be not to buy a phone with this on it.
Yeah.
Because that is awful. That is awful.
I have no defense for this at all. This is just stupid. This is garbage. This needs to be vanquished. And the way to vanquish this is to make sure you stay away from it. Don't support it. If nobody supports it and they don't make a damn bit of money off of it, they won't do it. And that's the problem with things today. People don't like it, but they'll support it because, it's Apple and I'm into the ecosystem, so I'll support their decisions. Or it's Google and I'm into the ecosystem, so I'll support it. Or it's this game and it's just cosmetics and I'm okay if it's just cosmetics, so I'll support the Cash App this and the freaking paid to play that and all. It's like, no, don't support it. Don't give them money and it won't go anywhere. It's all about money. And if they don't make money, they won't do it.
Let me tell you, if this was even like offered on my phone, I would throw my phone away.
I told you I'd snap it in half. I really would. I do not care. Well, maybe I won't snap it in half because I don't want to fire. But still, I'm serious.
This is terrible. It's terrible.
It's giving me an
Okay, let's move on.
giving me an aneurysm, I swear to God. Zen. Needs Zen. How about this? GPUs might be affordable again, Ben. It only
Might be.
took the entire generation to do it. The entire 30 series and the entire RDNA 2 series from NVIDIA and AMD, and God knows when Intel's launching. It only took 2 years of suffering and coughing and pandemics and death and everything else that we had to suffer through.
Mm-hmm.
And then you couldn't buy anything because it was gone or it was 6 times what it should have been. I've seen a lot of things that are finally in stock. And what is in stock is not 2 to 3 times asking price. They're maybe within 20-30% of MSRP. Finally. It is so good. We got CPUs back. Motherboards are finally back in stock. DDR4 is cheap. Ben bought some more and it was like, what, $50? $60?
60. 60, yep.
For 16 gigs. I remember the last time I had to buy 16 gigs and it cost like $120.
Yep.
And then like 8 months later, I bought 32 gigs for the same amount. I was like, thank you for going back down. And then it went right back up again.
Yep.
It's like, oh my God, it's never going to stop. So, yay, we actually get cheap stuff, finally. Or cheaper stuff. No, please continue. Please continue. Don't go back up again. I don't think it is. With the stupid crash in cryptocurrency right now and everything else, apparently NVIDIA tried to back out of some already booked and budgeted TSMC 5 nanometer chiplets that they were trying to get, wafers and all that. Like, they've already booked this capacity. Apparently they were trying to back out of it because their demands are projected to decline severely because of everything that's going on. And TSMC told them no. They couldn't back out. If they want to back out, they're responsible for finding somebody to replace them with that capacity. So either you take the capacity or you find somebody else that will, and it's your responsibility to do it. We're not letting you out of it. So they may have a ton of 5 nanometer chips coming out that they're not going to know what to do with because they already bought it. As far as TSMC is concerned.
Listen, if it means that more GPUs are going to drop and I can buy one, I'm good to go.
I'm actually okay with this. I don't feel one bit sorry for NVIDIA on it.
No, not at all.
I do not feel sorry for them. I'm actually kind of happy TSMC told them no.
I'd be mad too.
You guys did it. You're the ones that falsely reported how much cryptocurrency and miners were inflating your stocks. You didn't report it correctly to investors. You got fined for that. We just announced that within the last few episodes. Mm-hmm. So clearly you knew how much it was. If you're asking to pull back how much you've booked, you clearly know how much mining accounted for your sales. And you just didn't want to admit it. Mm-hmm. So I don't feel sorry for them one bit. You want to try to cheat and skate under the radar and hide everything in the clouds and make it seem like it's hunky-dory. And, oh, yeah, we're doing everything we can to get game cards in the hands of gamers and everything else. And you pull the crap that you pulled, it's your own damn fault. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Sucks to suck. Sucks to suck.
They got the money. I don't feel one bit sorry for them.
Not at all.
They've got the money. They'll be okay.
Okay. See, I told you this new section would be pretty short. We're already on to the discussion topics, y'all. So, Obi-Wan, episodes 4 through 6. Jesus. We're going to start here with part 4. Having escaped Vader on Mapuzo, Kenobi and Tala arrive at the Path facility on Jabim. Meanwhile, Leia being held in Fortress Inquisitorius. The Stronghold's headquarters of the Inquisitors located on Nur is now being interrogated for details on the Path by Reva. Kenobi and Tala plan to infiltrate the fortress to rescue Leia, Once inside, Kenobi discovers a trophy vault filled with the preserved corpses of Jedi who had been captured and killed, including a youngling. They rescue Leia, but Tala's cover is blown and their presence is revealed, and they eventually escape with help from past Commander Roken and his guerrilla troops. Vader, angered throughout the events, moves to kill Reva for her failure, but spills her when she reveals she attacked a tracker to Leia's companion droid Lola in anticipation of a rescue. Whew! This was actually a pretty good episode. I enjoyed this episode a lot, especially their escape with all of the like underground water effects and everything. The chase between them and the stormtroopers where the glass was cracked was really cool. Um the the uh the whole chase actually was pretty cool. And the fact that you didn't really see the rescue coming towards the end. Maybe it was a little bit predictable considering the story, but uh, you didn't really see the rescue coming towards the end there. Yeah, it was pretty good. I wouldn't say it was as good as the previous episode, but it was much better than at least the first one. The second one was pretty good too. I'd probably put part two and part four right on the same level.
Yeah, I really liked where we finally start to see a little bit of a reawakening in the spirit of Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's holding back that glass. He's getting back, especially after the events of the last episode. He's getting back on his feet relatively quickly after all
Mm-hmm.
his injuries that he sustained and all that. He's doing really good. So I like the rekindling of the force within him. His spirit's up a little bit. He's a man on a mission again. He's gotta get his girl. He's got to protect Leia, and
Mm-hmm.
stumbles across a couple of things that would be pretty heart wrenching, knowing what happened and living through the last 10 years of exile and everything after Order 66 and all that, and then coming across that trophy room like that. That'd be kind of heart wrenching. He held it together. He was a good fighting
Mm-hmm.
soldier for that. It was a really good episode. It just, I don't know, it had a lot going on in it, but I don't think it was as good as the third one. So I agree with you. It was kind of a step down, but it was still a really good episode.
I agree. Yeah. Okay. So what would you give this out of five robots with trackers in them? I don't know. I got nothing for this one.
uh,
I would say Dead Jedi, but I feel like that's a little bit too.
yeah,
Yeah.
I gotcha. Um, mm, uh, I don't know, like a 3.25, maybe a 3.5, somewhere in that ballpark.
I'd probably stick with a three. I'm like I said, it's okay, just not as good as what the last one, what the third episode set it up to be.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
However, part five,
Mm.
Vader reflects on lightsaber training he had with Kenobi prior to the Clone Wars, as he tracks the Path Network to Jabim. Vader promotes Reva to Grand Inquisitor, who leads a siege on the Path facility, deactivating its escape doors. To stall for time, Kenobi negotiates with Reva and deduces she knows Vader's true identity as she witnessed his massacre at the Jedi Temple on Coruscant as a youngling. She reveals she wanted to gain Vader's favor by killing him for revenge rather than serve him. The facility is then breached, with Tala sacrificing herself to save Kenobi. Realizing they cannot win, Kenobi surrenders and is taken to Reva. There, he convinces Reva to kill Vader while she delivers Kenobi to him. Meanwhile, Leia opens the doors after removing Lola's tracker, allowing the pack to escape before Vader besieges the facility. Reva uses this opportunity to try and kill Vader, but is quickly overpowered after a brief duel and stabbed. She is left for dead, and the original Grand Inquisitor arrives to reaffirm his status. As the Path Network escapes, Reva finds Bail Organa's message on Kenobi's transmitter, revealing Gleep's location on Tatooine. Um, it's I feel like it's kind of leaving out a small detail Uh, not a hugely important one, but for those who need brushing up on the episode, Reva was using Leia's hacked, quote unquote, hack droid to make sure that the path couldn't leave, and that's why Leia was able to go after it and like unhack it or whatever. I guess it took out what'd she say it was, a restraining bolt
Something like that. It's
that
like
she
it
took
looked like a
out.
little
Yeah,
antenna. A restraining bolt would be appropriate, given what we've seen it in use many times. So
yeah,
I would
yeah.
agree with that terminology. Antenna, maybe a restraining bolt. Either way, she kind of flicked it off. I don't think she understood what was going on with it. I think she
Probably
just
not.
kind of like, hey, what's this? And hey,
Mm-hmm.
everything's hunky dory again. Um,
Right. Yeah.
I mean, what do you expect out of a what 10-year-old at this point? Maybe 9.5, maybe at
Pretty
11
much.
at the
Yeah.
most. 10 years old, somewhere in that ballpark. Um, I mean, yeah, it's one of those things where a lot of things like that, and it's like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense now. Why was she so focused on Obi-Wan? And in the first few episodes of the series, you could make the argument that she's trying to live up to or impress Vader.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the reason why she was so obsessed on Obi-Wan is because she knew that would be the one person that Vader would be after more than anybody else, and that would be the time, if any time was available, to enact some revenge and take out her whatever, her
Mm-hmm.
frustrations or whatever it is, all these years
Right.
being pent up, and kill Vader. It made so much sense why she was going after him with such vigor that we haven't seen in anybody beyond Vader himself. And then why would she go after Luke? It didn't make a whole lot of sense in the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's Luke? Vader's son.
That's right.
Why would you not go after him too? Probably out of fear more than anything.
Yeah.
She knows what
Yeah.
his father's capable of. Who's to
Lord
say
only
he's
knows what
not
this boy is
capable of doing
capable
it?
of.
Huh?
Yeah. I said, Lord only knows what this boy is capable of.
Exactly. It's like, oh
Mm-hmm.
my gosh. That's the only thing that makes sense, because why go after the kid? Why does the kid make any importance whatsoever?
Mm-hmm.
Did not see any of this coming, though. I have to admit. I did not see the betrayal coming.
No.
I
Mm-mm.
did not see Luke being brought into this again. At least not for the
Nope.
reason that it was. It all makes perfect sense. I just did not see it. But out of all that, hands down, my favorite scene has to be Vader bringing down that ship and just ripping it apart.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was amazing.
That was crazy.
That was like, oh, he's mad now.
You can like you don't get very many a very good idea of how powerful he is like in the movies and everything.
Mm-hmm.
That was effortless. He reached out his hand, he slammed it down, and he ripped it in half like it was nothing,
Nothing.
like a hot knife to butter.
Yep. Did not
And
care.
imagine his suit was purpose built by the Emperor to keep him in constant pain, to make sure that his connection to the Force couldn't necessarily outpace the Emperor's. So just imagine if he wasn't tethered to that suit. How crazy powerful he would be.
A lot of people don't think of that. A lot of people
I
don't
know.
realize how badly he's got no limbs at the end of the third episode. When he's
Mm-hmm.
burned alive, he is burned alive on Mustafar. There is
Mm-hmm.
nothing left of this man. It's a miracle he survived at all.
Oh,
It
100%.
really
Yeah.
is. And it's like, oh my goodness, all these years, and all these revelations coming out after the fact. Oh yeah, that suit was terrible by design. It's like, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know that. It is so crazy how all of this coincides and works together. It's like, oh goodness gracious. But you're right. Imagine how strong he was had he not been. I mean, he's been mutilated. It took forever to
Mm-hmm.
get used to the suit as it was. Now he's got 10 years practice and he can pretty much do whatever he wants with it. But still,
Yeah.
it takes a toll.
I feel like had he not been confined to that suit, this 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 series would have ended in episode 3. Kenobi would have not made it past that. Like honestly, especially after his connection to the Force was so weak, and Vader's was just so like could have been so much stronger. No contest. There
Yeah.
was barely a contest in the 3rd episode,
Yeah.
but there would have been no contest had that been the case.
Yeah. But, I mean, we are filling in between established timelines. So
Yeah,
there
yeah,
is an ultimate end that we have to come to, no matter how well received it would have been had things ended differently. You just can't do it. Like, okay,
correct. Yeah,
go ahead and kill him. We
that's
would have loved to have
that's the
seen it.
unfortunate thing with doing a show with a character like this. You know, there's not really going to be anything extremely surprising happening in this. He's not going to die. He could definitely get severely hurt,
Yeah,
but I mean, he has to
he
survive
has to survive.
to episode 4
There is
to die
there
there.
is a means to the end, and it
Nothing's
has
going to
to
happen
happen.
to Leia. Nothing's going to happen to Luke. Nothing's going to happen to Uncle Owen or Aunt Beru. Nothing's really going to happen to Anakin. So the unfortunate thing is, while these interactions and everything are significant and they do mean something in the grand scheme of things, it's not as maybe impactful as it could be
Yeah,
because we already know where it all has to
it
go.
has to go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
But either way,
it is
this
a little disappointing that has to be the way it is. But I will give credit. I think that brings more influence and more meaning to the surprises that we did get. Because there for a
yeah,
while we were limited by the means of the ends. I mean, it has to happen this way. He can't die, so episode 3 ended the way it did. He has to survive.
mm-hmm.
The betrayal, I think, is the one thing you never would have seen coming. And I
Right,
mean, it
yeah.
was a good way to get some
Well,
extreme
it's one of the
shockers into
only
that.
characters that wasn't already established in the universe.
Exactly. So I mean, it was a perfect way to do it, and I applaud them for at least mixing it up where it could be mixed up.
Right, yeah, yeah. Anyway, uh, out of uh, out of 5 ripped apart ships, what do you give episode 5?
This one's a 4.
A 4? Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with you here. A 4. Yeah, it this was just an all around better episode than the last one, especially with like we were talking about Vader just ripping down that ship.
Yep.
That was a great scene.
I actually have to say, as much as I love the battle between Vader and Obi-Wan in the 3rd episode, you were stuck with the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, I do like this episode more than that episode. Just because there was something that you could tangibly change. You didn't have your hands tied at every single point. So it did, to me, it did work out a little bit better.
Okay. Part 6. Reva arrives on Tatooine to find Luke while Darth Vader and the Empire pursue the Path Network. Kenobi separates from the group to confront Vader alone on a nearby planet so the Path can escape after realizing that Vader is only after him. After an intense duel, Kenobi, who has regained his full connection to the Force, incapacitates Vader by damaging his helmet and breathing device. Realizing Anakin has completely embraced his identity as Darth Vader, a saddened Kenobi leaves. Meanwhile, arrives at Luke's home but is confronted by Owen and Beru. Subduing them, she pursues Luke into the desert but eventually returns him to his family after remembering Anakin's massacre of the Jedi Temple. Liberated from the dark side, Kenobi congratulates her for overcoming the trauma of her past. On Mustafar, a healed Vader abandons his search for Kenobi after his master, Emperor Palpatine, questions his motives and loyalty. Back on Alderaan, Leia has found new resolve in her duties as a princess. Kenobi visits them and affirms he will help the Organas when needed, and bids Leia for farewell. Returning to Tatooine, he resolves his conflict with Owen by agreeing to let Luke have a normal life, and greets the boy before venturing into the desert. Having found his inner peace, he is finally able to converse with the Force ghost of Qui-Gon, which, let me tell you, was one of the best parts of this episode. Seeing Liam Neeson come back as Qui-Gon in this freaking episode was so good.
Yes.
I know we don't get like a ton of time to get to know Qui-Gon as a character in the first episode. I mean, he's there throughout the whole movie, but like the only thing that we know is that he's a good guy, I guess. We don't really get to see nuances between him and Obi-Wan, or him and really any of the Jedi Council or Anakin or anything like that.
Yep.
So it's nice to see him come back as this brief cameo to kind of guide Obi-Wan where he has to go towards the end of the saga, the original saga. I think the biggest thing that we need to talk about is the final confrontation between Obi-Wan and Vader. Because, oh my god, was that a fight. First, Obi-Wan gets brutally massacred and crushed under a ton of rocks. And then he blasts his way out and basically dominates the second half of the fight with Vader. Like, it's ridiculous how quickly the tides turn. My man jumps out of the pile of rocks, zooms back towards Vader, and decimates him. There's no contest.
There is no contest. However, and I may be wrong for saying it, your hands were tied. You couldn't have Obi-Wan kill Vader. You couldn't have Vader kill Obi-Wan.
No.
I really feel like that whole scene should have been reversed. Obi-Wan should have been out on top in the beginning and then crushed at the end with the rocks. Because at least that would have made sense chronologically as far as the entire timeline is concerned. Because Obi-Wan can't get out. Vader has done his bidding. There is no open resolution / conflict. Why did Obi-Wan not kill Vader? You see where this has gone. You see that Anakin he's gone. Vader has completely consumed him. Vader is in charge. Anakin is no more. Why leave him alive?
Anakin Skywalker is dead. I killed him.
So why leave Vader?
I can see where you're coming from, yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I feel like...
So if you'd done that entire thing reversed, you wouldn't have that problem at the end.
I feel like this was more of a resolution thing in the character of Obi-Wan than maybe a way to try and connect the end of this series to the beginning of A New Hope. I get what you're saying. It would technically make more sense because Vader wouldn't know that Obi-Wan is alive at the beginning of A New Hope, which we kind of get that feeling in that movie, right?
A little bit. He says he says he's sensing a presence that he has not sensed in years.
Mm-hmm. But when you look at the way that the character of Obi-Wan has progressed in this, you kind of want him to have that triumphant moment. And you would kind of get it with the way that you're setting it up, but it wouldn't be as big and as
It would
impactful
not be as
as it played out in the series as it is.
for Obi-Wan specifically. I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. It is a moment that we wanted to see, and I am glad that we got to see it. However, maybe have him buried and assumed dead. Have the big triumphant return like he did. Leave the scene as it is, but instead of willingly leave him there unharmed, presumably unharmed. I mean, his mask was cut open. He's gasping for breath. He's hurting. But you can tell Vader's going to survive. There's no question about it. He's okay. He's hurt, yes, but he's okay. Bury his ass under a big pile of rocks. You could have done it differently. And not have thousands of people upset. Unless they're going about, we're okay with this because everybody knows he's got to survive. And you're just going to have to live with it. And maybe that's where they're banking
I think the reasoning for Obi-Wan leaving him alive is kind of the same reasoning that you've got at the end of episode 3. I mean, yes, obviously Obi-Wan thinks that that Anakin is dead because he thinks that Anakin is dead at the beginning of the series. But the reason that he doesn't go back and kill Anakin in episode 3, and I'm presuming the reason that he doesn't do it here, was because he still feels like Anakin is his brother, you know?
Yeah.
He still feels like
I know.
he should have a relationship with him. So when Vader says that Anakin Skywalker is dead and that he killed him, I kind of feel like maybe he's just too disheartened to even think about killing him, you know?
Yeah, I guess.
Would that make sense to get rid of technically the greatest evil in the galaxy at that point? Absolutely. We've got a timeline to follow. Vader still has to be alive at the beginning of A New Hope, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you look at it that way, at least the character reason kind of makes sense.
It's hard. I understand. It's a very difficult thing to address.
It is, yeah.
I just feel like it could have been done better. How exactly you do it better, I don't have the exact answer. I feel like the ending of episode 3 is the movie, anyways, is more akin to what I'm asking for with the end of this season of Obi-Wan. Left for Dead. Because, I mean, I'm more convinced that he died at the end of episode 3 than I would have been dying at the end of the Obi-Wan series. You can tell he's going to make it at the end of the Obi-Wan series. You can't necessarily tell he's going to make it at the end of episode 3. Now, we know he is because, again, those were prequels, and there is a timeline that we have to get to, but at least it's convincing that he may die. Or should have died. Like I said, It's a miracle he survived. It really is. But all in all, it's a really good episode. I like how they finished it off. I love Palpatine's / Darth Sidious's questioning of Vader's motives. Like, putting him in check. Like, you need to put this guy in check, otherwise you're in trouble. Mm-hmm. And it's like, God, even 10 years after the fact, he still manipulates this. He's like a puppeteer. He's the controller. He's got the controls in his hand, and Anakin, for as all the strength and the force that he has, is his freaking puppet. I mean, what can you do? Life sucks, right?
It is what it is, you know? Yeah. Okay, so out of 5 Force Ghost Qui-Gon Jinns, what do you give the final episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi?
4.5.
I'd have to agree with that. Yep, 4.5.
Best episode out of all of them, I think.
So, what would you rate the series as a whole then?
The entire series as a whole, start to finish. And I feel like this is going to be subject to change if things happen. I don't know if we're getting a season 2, if it's confirmed, if we're not going to get it, whatever.
I don't I think this is gonna be a one-parter.
Is that it? I
Yeah.
feel like they could have done something for Obi-Wan that did not have to tread down the path that it tread down. We didn't have to meet up with Vader again. We didn't have to have these lingering questions. Why didn't you kill him? Blah, 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 blah. Beyond the chronological issues that we have. I feel like you could have done a whole different story arc and not had these unresolved issues. As much
Yeah,
as
but
I
then you
love
wouldn't get Darth
seeing
Vader
it,
back.
I know. As much as I love seeing it, I agree with you. We wouldn't have gotten Darth Vader back. Because of that, I feel like the whole series suffers a little bit, and I'm only able to give it like a 3.75.
I'd have to raise your rating to a 4, I think.
Okay.
I think in spite of
The issues.
what you're saying, yeah, what you're saying about it, it could have been a different story, and in spite of the issues with the story that come up with their telling it, and the whole thing about we've beat it to death now.
Yeah.
There's plenty of characters that we have to make sure stay alive for the beginning of episode 4. Whatever. I think working within those constraints, despite having to work within those constraints, they pulled off a pretty darn good series, especially the final episode. So I'd have to stick with a 4.
Okay.
I like it. I like it a lot.
That's fair.
Okay, so next we have Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This is going to be a little bit of a longer plot synopsis, so forgive me, but the one on Google made no sense, which is the one that I typically use. It was like 2 sentences, and it didn't describe the movie at all. So,
Nope.
You'll have to forgive me on that. America Chavez and a version of Stephen Strange are being chased by a demon in the space between universes while searching for the Book of Vishanti. That Strange is killed, and Chavez accidentally creates a portal that transports herself and Strange's corpse to Earth 616, where that universe's version of Strange rescues Chavez from another demon with help from the Sorcerer Supreme Wong. Chavez explains that the beings are hunting her because she has the power to travel through the multiverse. Recognizing witchcraft runes, Strange consults Wanda Maximoff for help, but realizes that she is responsible for the attacks. After acquiring the Darkhold and becoming the Scarlet Witch, Maximoff believes that controlling Chavez's powers will allow her to reunite with Billy and Tommy, the children that she creates during her time in Westview. When Strange refuses to surrender Chavez, Maximoff attacks Kamartaj, killing many sorcerers. Chavez accidentally transports herself and Strange to Earth 838, while Maximoff uses the Darkhold to dreamwalk, taking control of her Earth 838 counterpart, who lives a suburban life with her own Billy and Tommy. With Wong's help, Strange saves Chavez from Maximoff as she tries to take Chavez's powers and encourages Chavez to use her ability. She transports Maximoff to Earth 838, where she sees Billy and Tommy recoil from her in fear while crying for their real mother. Realizing the error of her ways, Maximoff relents and uses her powers to bring down Mount Wundagore, simultaneously destroying all copies of the Darkhold throughout the multiverse and apparently sacrificing herself in the process. Chavez returns Strange and Palmer to their respective universes. Sometime later, Kamartaj is repaired and the surviving sorcerers, joined by Chavez, continue training. Strange develops a third eye as a result of using the Darkhold and dreamwalking into a corpse. In a mid-credit scene, Strange is approached by a sorceress who warns him that his actions have triggered an incursion that he must help fix. Strange follows her into the dark dimension. Whew.
A mouthful.
That was a very long explanation, but it did do a pretty good a pretty good job of explaining everything. The one thing I do have to say that I really enjoyed this movie. I think that everything was pretty good. I'm not going to say it was perfect. I think the biggest flaw in this movie is basically everything that happened in Earth 838. The Illuminati, the cameos are great. Don't get me wrong. I love uh I can't remember the actor's name right now, but the guy who played Reese Richards. They brought back Charles Xavier. We got Peggy Carter as Captain Carter. We got Maria Rambeau as the new Captain Marvel. Uh, Blackagar Boltagon. I think he was in some sort of MCU TV show a while ago, which is why he's kind of not really introduced all that much. And then we get Mordo. Mordo's cool, I guess. uh, but my big issue is the fight between all of the Illuminati and um and Wanda. I mean, I get she is extremely strong, but my biggest gripe is the fact that Reed Richards just straight up tells her the weakness of the most powerful person in their group. He's like, "Oh, listen, I don't want to give anything away here, but you see that guy over there, the one that doesn't talk? Listen, if he talks, real bad's going to happen, okay? You're going to get blown away." Oh, if he talks, I'm going to get blown away? What is he supposed to use? His mouth? What mouth? And then she proceeds to slaughter everybody. Everybody. Nobody stood a chance. Uh, Besides that, though, I do have to say I enjoyed this movie. And good lord, this is like, for a PG-13 movie, they got away with a lot in terms of like the gore and everything.
They certainly did.
The when he talks with his mouth not there and it like explodes his brain and it like gels out half of his head. Oh, oh my god, that was so nasty. And it didn't even show anything. That's the worst part. Ah,
I don't know where to begin. We were so misled by the trailers in this movie.
oh my god, yes. Yeah. Like we were saying after we watched it, if anyone says that they had any idea where this was going before they watched it, they are liars. They are lying through their teeth.
There is no way that you could have predicted what was going to happen.
Absolutely
It
not.
made it
all
made
the
it
trailers
like...
made it seem like it was gonna be a cool adventure with Doctor Strange and Wanda, and they were gonna figure out the multiverse together. And then she turns out to be crazy and kills everybody.
She's batshit crazy. She is the root of all evil. She is
Basically.
So misguided. She is misguided on the level that even somehow surpasses Thanos. Believe it or not. A man that was dedicated nearly 20 movies of build-up for this ultimate conquest has been surpassed, in my opinion, by one woman in a miniseries and a...
Granted, it was the one woman that almost defeated him.
It was.
It came so close.
It was. Defeated and upshown by the woman who's got one television show and one movie to go from, questionable start, but she's in the Avengers and her motives are good, to, oh my god, what has happened to this woman? She is not... The Wanda Maximoff is gone. Scarlet Witch is here. And there is no question about it.
I have, despite what the movie implies, I have no doubt in my mind that we're going to see Wanda again.
Oh yeah, she's back. Hopefully,
Like
hopefully.
100%.
I don't like Scarlet Witch. I really don't. I get it. She's powerful. I love it. It's great.
I like her as a villain. It was not where I expected the character to go.
No.
I get what you're saying.
I don't like it. If it was a villain for villain, like this entire time, okay, great. It's just, oh my god, it's like, tear my heart out, please. This woman has suffered enough, and we're going here. I mean, the trailers made it look like this hunky-dory adventure. You gotta fix what's strange, screwed up with Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't play into any of this.
No, it didn't.
It didn't matter.
Nope.
It truly didn't matter. And it's her this entire time. It's witchcraft and sorcery combined, and it's amazing. But it's like, God, who is she? This is not Wanda Maximoff.
Well, she was corrupted by the Darkhold.
She was. And clearly that shows
did not help.
The power of that thing. I purely suspect that she's alive. I do not believe that she's gone.
Oh.
The whole third eye thing is very interesting, strange.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is like an indication that he has now officially like corrupted his soul, and he's going to end up down the road of like Strange Supreme, who's consumed with trying to get back what's her name?
Christine Palmer.
Mm-hmm. Which was heavily influenced upon within this movie itself. Or is he going to be consumed like the other one on 8-1, whatever that number was, with the...
I don't think they gave that one a number.
Did they not give that one a number? But anyways.
No.
It's like, okay, so is he like... Is R.C. Stephen Strange strong enough to overcome all that? Or is he just like all the other ones? Like, is there anything special that keeps him immune?
I think this is just a mark that the Darkhold put on him for dream walking and dream walking into a corpse.
A corpse.
Yeah.
Leave the corpse.
Which is alone. At least what the Wikipedia thing implies. But that makes sense to me.
It does.
I don't think it's necessarily a mark of corruption, but more like a mark of he did that, you know?
Okay, maybe. True.
Or it could be both. Who knows?
I was lost the entire movie. I really was. I was like, how did we get here? I thoroughly enjoyed it. Oh, but oh my god, was it a curveball?
It definitely was, yeah. I had no idea where it was. I had some idea of the whole Illuminati thing and who would be there because I saw part of the trailers and part of that had been spoiled.
we picked out, but you picked out better than I did. Peggy's shield.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Saw that. Yeah, I don't know. I very much enjoyed this movie. I don't know where this is going to go from here. Yeah, I genuinely, I don't know.
Lost on all of it. I don't know what it means for him necessarily. I don't know if that means we're going to have a follow-up movie for him or something like that. I have no idea what Wanda means.
My big problem with Phase 4 so far is that they've promised the multiverse. They've gone into it, but it's not been as cohesive as the previous phases. Because we've gotten No Way Home and this movie, and What If kind of touched on the multiverse because it was like an anthology thing, so that made sense.
Yep.
That's basically been it. That's all we've had for the multiverse. Every other thing that the MCU has put out has had nothing to do with it. Shang-Chi, any of the Disney Plus series that they've put out, it's all been, I don't get me wrong, I've liked a good portion of it, but it's not as cohesive as the other three phases have been or were.
Yeah, I agree, and
It
it
just bothers me that, we're going to have Thor Love and Thunder come out. We know that that's more than likely not going to have anything to do with the multiverse. More than likely. Maybe Natalie Portman fits in there somewhere. God only knows. I don't know anymore. I want more of the multiverse. I want them to bring more characters in. We've gotten this whole Fox acquisition, like, I don't know, it's going on 2 years now, isn't it? And I understand that it takes a long time to make a movie. And I would rather them take longer to make something than to rush out a crappy product. But I just wish they would give me more of that. Don't get me wrong. I have a feeling I'm going to like Thor Love and Thunder. And like I said, I've liked all of the stuff that hasn't necessarily had to do with the multiverse. But I want more of the multiverse. I want them to explore that concept more.
I don't know, man. It's really hard to say. Some of it could be a grand design that we just are incapable of seeing.
Maybe.
We've been, and it's something that they kind of wrote themselves into a corner on, and it's somewhat their fault. But they did set the precedence and the expectation of things being linked. Now, yeah, it was a little harder to see within the first phase, but not really, because the first phase was introducing the characters of the
Mm-hmm.
Avengers
Right.
and
Yeah.
then continuing to introduce more characters that would be a part of the Avengers slash needing to be with the Avengers for what battle was about to approach the universe
Mm-hmm.
with Thanos, and also exploring more into the established characters, the sequel movies for Iron Man and Thor, and we'll eventually get a sequel movie for Black Panther. Although rest in peace, that's definitely going to be different than what it was originally going to be. It has to be
Absolutely.
at
Yeah.
this point. Um, there's a lot of it that was tying in, and you could see it. Not necessarily at the beginning, but it made sense still. You were building out the Avengers. You didn't know we were building out the Thanos battle just yet, but you knew you were building out the Avengers. I agree with you.
Right.
What are you building out with Phase 4?
I mean,
It was
they've
supposedly the
introduced
multiverse,
they've
but
introduced new characters. We've gotten Shang-Chi, we've gotten Kate Bishop, and I'm sure there's a couple more and we've gotten the transition of Anthony Mackie from Falcon to Captain America.
so some of it is
But
probably
like,
building for something,
yeah,
but
I'm sure they're building. They've got to be building towards another Avengers movie. But maybe it won't make sense until that point. Because at some point they're gonna have to tie a bow on
yep,
this phase
yep.
and tie up all, or at least most of the loose ends. I don't know.
Or
I
at
don't know.
least
I
make it
I
make
just can't see
sense
it.
until Phase 5 can maybe do a better job of cinching off the bow. Maybe some of it's just delays in, I mean, we've been in 2.5 years of a pandemic. It takes
Yeah.
a long time to get movies done. You can't really start anything for the last year, so there's a whole year of delays if you even wanted to start something that you couldn't. Things have been pushed off that should have been out already. Like we're playing catch up on what should have been out, and there's probably going to be a lot of delays to until we get what we should have gotten like this year or the beginning of next year. It's so hard to tell what got screwed up by this and that because everything went to hell in a handbasket. And
Mm-hmm.
some of it
Yeah.
might be bad planning. Like maybe you're onto something. Maybe they're not doing as good of a job as we were expecting them, or maybe they are, and we're just not seeing the fruits of their labor yet because everything got screwballed. It really is hard to say why.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm holding on for now just to see where everything's going, and I'm as incohesive as everything has been. I can't say that I haven't been enjoying it. So at least they've put out good shows and good movies up until this point. Whether or not they all fit together
Is
is a
yet to
different
be
story
seen.
at this point, but we'll see. I don't know. Either way, what would you rate this movie out of 5 third eyes?
I'm so torn. It gets so many points for freaking surprising the hell out of me. It was not what I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
It was not predictable, which is great given where we're at in the MCU. Like some of these stories, and I'm glad to see that we're not falling into that pitfall. Oh crap, we've set things so far into stone. There isn't a way to surprise us. Kind of like with what Star Wars has fallen into. When you're doing these in between timeline things, you kind of screwed yourself.
Yeah.
But I really don't. I don't know. I don't know what the whole America Chavez thing is like. What's that going to bring into? What's that bringing to the table? What's Wanda bringing to the table? Is she bringing anything to the table at all, or is the Scarlet Witch the end of that? Like, there's so many things that I want to see. Like, I want to see a resolution
Yeah.
for her. I really do. WandaVision sucked at the end
Oh,
because it
yeah.
all comes crumbling down, and it's like she's suffered so, and it was laid out in this movie so well. She suffered so much. She's lost her parents. She's lost her brother. She killed Vision, and it meant nothing
Mm-hmm.
because it was literally undone in a second, and everything's taken away again. Spent 5 years or however long it's been for the snap. I forget exactly how long the snap was. I think it's 5 years.
It was 5 years between in the gap in Endgame, so this is probably like going on 6, 7.
Not existing because she was snapped out of existence.
Right. Yep.
Now, it didn't mean anything to them individually because they didn't know it until after. And it's like, oh my god, I want to see a resolution for Wanda. But yet, I feel like, I don't know. I don't think she's dead. But I'm so torn.
No.
It got so many points, but then it took so many points away. And I can't figure out this movie. And I'm stuck at like a 4. But I want it to be higher. But I'm
I
stuck.
I understand where you're coming from. I like that I couldn't predict this movie. I'm going to take myself out of I don't know where the MCU is going at this point. Just look at this movie. I would have to say, despite my misgivings about the whole Earth 838 thing
Uh-huh.
and that
Because
whole
that was pretty stupid.
yes.
I agree with you.
Beyond that, I would have to say I'd give this like a 7. I would have trouble giving it any higher than that,
A
but I also
7.
don't want to go any lower. Yeah. Oh, wait. That a 5. Yeah. Okay, so no, you would be right. Yeah. I would say maybe like maybe a 3 then, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, then I gave it higher than you did. I don't know.
Sorry, I don't know why I was thinking out of 10 for some
I was like, a
reason, even though we
7? What
always
are
do
you
out of
talking
5.
about? Are you giving it? I'm like, this is like breaking the scale, Ben.
Technically, the 3 out of 5 is lower than the 7 out of 10, but I don't know. I
A
just
3.5 then.
yeah, I'll do a 3
Is
and a half.
is it worthy for 3.5? Because if it's not, don't let me put words in your mouth. If it's not, it's not.
I'd honestly have to stick with a 3.
Okay.
I like it. And there's definitely things that I like about it. But
I was so hoping for more.
I don't know. This was kind of yes. It's kind of middling for me. Despite the fact that I had literally zero idea what was going on the entire time.
Basically.
I don't know. It wasn't enough to bring it up to like a lot of the other MCU films for me.
If you had to compare it against everything, I would certainly have to drop it down from a 4 to a 3. Maybe a 3.5. Because the original Iron Man, Black Panther, Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor Ragnarok, All
even
of
even just
those,
looking
those
at the
four
latest,
alone are definitely way higher than this. Even looking at
even
the
just
latest
looking at
ones.
the latest sequels, Thor Ragnarok, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, all the other ones that have come out since then. Of those sequels, this is probably the one of the weakest. Thor Dark World is probably the weakest, but I don't necessarily
It's
count that as a movie anymore.
definitely, to me, not as good as the original Doctor Strange.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the original Doctor Strange definitely had its faults, but it was it was definitely better than this. Yeah. Okay. Well, that is our discussion topics over. We've got our trailer section coming up. First one up is going to be Clerks 3. And if you know, you know.
Somebody get over! That's how we did it in the 90s, son!
Can't catch my breath, man.
Really? Should I try mouth stuff?
What is this, a Tinder date? Get off of me. Oh, shit.
Mr. Dante! I need an ambulance at the quick stop.
You saved my life, man. Wish I had a life worth saving.
What are you talking about?
Sit around and watch the same movies over and over.
I always thought you could have made a cool movie.
You're right. I'm living on borrowed time. No more watching movies. I'm gonna make a movie!
This, just based off of the trailer and what little I remember from the original Clerks, it looks pretty good. I can't say that I would see it in the theaters, though. I'd probably wait for a rental for me.
Well, not knowing context or anything for it, I'm just going to have to judge it based on what I see here. What I see here is definitely a rightful rental. I would so totally see this, just not in the theaters. This looked pretty damn funny.
All right, our next trailer is for Light and Magic.
When I was writing Star Wars, there were no special effects houses in the world. So how are we going to do the effects?
I realized that I was going to have to start a company.
We didn't really know what we were doing. We were not movie people. George wanted a bunch of guys who didn't know what was impossible.
We were departing from convention. We had to build equipment from scratch. This was a long shot.
We make it look like a professional movie instead of a bunch of kids having fun.
We realized nothing is impossible.
It goes back to that original group that were unpretentious, brilliant people.
That was our family. We enjoyed each other's company.
Yes, we water slided. Yes, we were immature, but nobody worked harder. We were the Rebel Alliance.
Yahoo!
I typically do not like documentaries, but damn if that doesn't look good. I have loved the story of ILM ever since I heard about Star Wars. The story behind ILM is great.
Different source material for why I love Industrial Light and Magic, and the reason why I heard of them originally. Mythbusters. Jamie and Adam both were involved with a lot of their projects and stuff like that. And I know
Adam worked on episode 1.
Yeah.
It's some of the prequels. I can't remember which one. But.
Yeah. So exposed as a kid early on, and that's where a lot of the stuff that they made for Mythbusters came. He's really good at his craft. Adam is. I mean, oh my goodness. And Jamie was good with the engineering and all the other stuff, but Adam was the crafty one and the one that could get a lot of the inventions that they needed to make to test the stuff that they were testing for whatever myth it was at the time. So different reason, but have known about Industrial Light for a long time. I would it's a documentary. I don't typically
and it's a
want
series.
to do well. Okay, so you can't do it anyways. I don't necessarily like documentaries in a theater anyways, so I don't know if it's the wrong type of film to go see at the theaters. However, I would see this at the theaters.
I would too. 100%.
Based on our criteria of what we're talking about, I would so totally go see this in the theaters.
Oh yeah, I'm very excited for this. I wasn't sure what it was when I saw the trailer. I had a feeling based on the thumbnail and the title that it was going to be something to do with ILM. This looks great, and I don't know. They mentioned, or Lucas mentioned something about Pixar in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know anything about how Pixar started?
Yeah. Oh, you want me to explain it?
I just wanted to know.
Oh no, yeah, no, yeah. It's so weird how that whole industry has come full circle, to be completely honest. And I mean, had they not done what they had done with like Toy Story, like had they not broken out of their shell when they did, they would have failed. That would have been a failed project. It served its purpose for what they needed it to, but it easily could have failed had they not succeeded. Which is, I know, it's very weird to say.
No, yeah, I get what you're saying. Well, originally they weren't even an animation company.
Originally, no.
It was like I think it was like some sort of graphics company that Lucas spun off of ILM, and then Steve Jobs ended up buying it off of Lucas, and Jobs was actually still there after he got hired back as Apple CEO, and helped kind of craft or helped push along Toy Story and Toy Story 2 and Bug's Life and a couple other ones before he died, or before it sold it to Disney.
Yeah, no. So originally, somebody's going to ask, and they're going to be like, David didn't know what he's talking about because he didn't explain it. So I'm going to explain it. Originally, ILM needed a graphics division for what they were doing, a computer generated, because at some point you can't do what they did a great job with Star Wars, don't get me wrong, but at some point you have to start digitizing this stuff, and you've got to get into the computer age, and they were right on that cusp. So originally they started it wasn't Pixar at the time, but they started their own computer generated imagery section within ILM. And Lasseter, who is a huge Pixar legend at this point, done many of their films and whatnot, was somewhere in the early 80s, if I remember correctly. I don't think it was the late 70s. Should have been somewhere in the early 80s. It was one of their first animators hired in that department of ILM. And it just happened to end up being the computer's graphics department that ended up being sold off to Steve Jobs, who then ended up getting it renamed to Pixar. I don't know the exact storyline of how that happened, where the Pixar name came from, but it's basically a huge specialty within a specialty, a special graphics
basically, yeah,
company for a really niche thing of Hollywood movies. Needed something specialized within their own tools that just spun off into this huge thing. It's so crazy how all that happened. And like I said, had they not broken out and did what
I kind of wish eventually that they get around to doing a documentary about how Pixar all started, because I read a autobiography, or not a biography about Steve Jobs a while ago, like maybe a couple years after he died or something, and that kind of explained, at least from when he got into Pixar, how everything flowed from there. So it's an interesting story. I am glad that we're getting something about ILM though, because ILM story is what they were able to do for in the 70s and 80s, not only for Star Wars, but for, it said over 350 films at this point. It's
countless.
They have done so much for visual effects. It's not even funny. You saw the water arm from The Abyss. That was them.
They've done everything from movies like The Abyss for James Cameron.
And they did the Metal Terminator also for James Cameron for Terminator 2.
They've done stuff for Terminator. They did stuff with the Oh God, I can't think of the name of the movie. The Third Kind movie. Spaceships come down. Spaceships come down.
Oh, Close Encounters of the
Yes,
Third
thank
Kind?
you. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. They did
stuff. Did they do stuff for that?
Yeah, they did stuff for that too.
Yeah.
It's
guess it doesn't surprise me. It's a Steven Spielberg thing, and they were close friends. So
yeah, I almost guarantee they've had a lot of stuff hand in hand with Amblin too. Like, and that's a whole nother kettle.
Oh,
of
I'm
fish.
sure.
Amblin's
yeah.
a whole nother kettle of fish. It's like, oh my God.
I mean,
and then Jurassic Park and all that stuff. It's like they've touched
Lucas
so
and Steven
much.
Spielberg were have been long time friends because they collaborated on Indiana Jones.
Yeah, Indiana Jones movie. It's so many different. Name a franchise in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s that
and
had
probably
heavy
some
special
that are still going on.
And yeah, but name a franchise from those decades. Guarantee ILM has something to do with it.
I'm like 95% sure that they've had at least a little bit of a hand in the MCU movies.
Oh yeah.
I know Weta Digital has done a lot of it, but I mean ILM is so big at this point. There's no way that they haven't at least done some sequences for it.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Star Wars, Star Trek, freaking, it's everything. They've touched everything, and it's beyond amazing.
Anyway, enough gushing about ILM. You'll have to watch the actual thing to get any more better information than what we can give you.
Did we mention it's a Disney Plus series, guys? For those.
Yes, Disney Plus series.
I wasn't sure if we mentioned it or not.
Dropping on July 27th, so be looking out for that if you're as excited about it as we are. All right, so our third trailer of the night is going to be for Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Let's start over. My name is Casey Jones. In the future, an alien race decimated the planet. Master Leonardo gave me a mission. Find the key, stop the Krang.
Future Boy is really from the future?
Mine? Tonight, with this key, we shall free them to lay waste to this world. No! It started! They're here!
Join me. Sister, brother, time for us to finish making this universe in the image of Krang.
I'm totally in for this. I'm gonna go see it in the theaters. I mean, I know it's a Netflix movie, but this looks cool.
Wait for a rental.
That's fair. I think I'm a little bit more into the TMNT than you are.
Yeah, a little bit.
Our final trailer of the night is for this is a sequel to one of the worst movies I've ever seen, Hocus Pocus 2.
Do you actually watch it though?
No,
I was gonna say I don't think
I still haven't seen it.
I got to get you to watch this. Damn it.
Maybe eventually.
Ugh.
Hey, happy birthday. Thanks. So what are you guys doing tonight?
Birthday ritual, scary movie marathon, same as every year.
You know, legend has it. It's on the 16th birthday that a witch gets her powers.
Another year begins anew. Maiden, Mother, and Crone too. We call on thee with one request. Help our intentions manifest.
The Sanderson sisters. I bet you're looking for the stage.
Always.
That didn't really tell me anything.
Yeah, I know. It's more of a teaser trailer than anything else.
Yeah. That's fair. I'd probably have to wait for a review on this one. I'll tell you what. This Halloween, I think we've said it before. We'll do both of these for our Halloween episode.
That's fair.
Hocus Pocus 1 and 2.
That's fair. Clearly fanboying here a little bit. So would so go totally see this in the theaters. God, it's so strange. The original movie flopped. It really did. It didn't really work. It's just amassed such a cult
The first time that I had
since.
ever heard of it was when you brought it up. I had never, ever heard of that movie before.
You didn't watch a lot of Disney Channel during the Halloween season, did you?
Not really, no.
Because literally that thing is on every single... Well, before it got moved to... well, now it's Freeform, but... when I think it was ABC Family at the time. I don't remember what the predecessor to Freeform is, but even
It's
Freeform,
ABC Family.
yeah, even Freeform has it on like almost every single freaking night during October. It's kind of stupid how many times that movie is on during the Halloween season. I absolutely love that film. It was one of my favorites as a child. I don't know. It's too good. It's too good. I'm really interested to see how this goes. It looks like there's a good reason for the return. I was a little skeptical about how this is going to play out given the events of the last film. I'm beginning to see it, and I'm liking it.
See, this turn of events here is funny because here you are fangirling about a teaser trailer.
Yeah.
For this movie.
Yep.
And when we watched the teaser trailer for the Orville, it was the exact opposite.
I know.
You're like, I don't know what the heck is going on here. Why would I even want to watch this? And I was like, oh, you don't understand, David. It's so good. Eventually, we're gonna have to get you into that show because this, I know it means literally nothing to you, but this season that they've come out with is one of the best seasons of television I have ever seen in my life. And I do not say that lightly.
The problem I had with it, and I have this problem with this too. Don't get me wrong. I have this problem with this too. It did not do anything to entice new viewership or introduce anything about the series. At least this did. To a small degree. Not enough to base anything on the movie. I just have hype. Which is why I will go see it in the theaters, if it was in the theaters. Orville just didn't do anything. It was a bunch of music and a couple of scenes of tiny importance, maybe. I don't know, because I've never seen it before. But it's like, what the hell is this? And it was so long. It was like 3 minutes, Ben. It was like a 3 or 4 minute trailer.
It was.
And it was nothing but a teaser trailer. At least this was boiled down to a minute 20.
Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching and or listening wherever we happen to be. Be sure to leave a rating on whatever podcasting platform you happen to be listening on, especially if it's iTunes, because apparently that seems to help or something. If you are on YouTube, be sure to leave us a like. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to comment. All that good stuff. Let us know if there's something you want us to do, like a movie, because I don't think we've got anything planned for the next discussion thing, do we?
We haven't started any new series or...
There's not another series that I know is coming out. So, I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe there won't be a discussion topic next time. I don't know.
Maybe we'll finally have a small, short episode.
Maybe. I kind of doubt it. Anyway, that is going to be it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for listening. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Thanks for listening to this episode of Podcast Period. This episode was hosted and produced by Ben, co-hosted and edited by David. You can contact Ben on Twitter at BenPlaysVidges. That's Ben Plays, VIDYAS. And you can contact David on Twitter at Car6by16. If you'd like to chat with us about any of the topics on this episode, you can hit the show up at Podcast Period on Twitter, or shoot us an email at podcastperiodpodcast@gmail.com. That's all for this episode. We'll see you next time.